Mao Zedong killed more people than any other leader in human history, at least 45 million. Some estimates go as high as 70 million. More than Hitler, more than Stalin, more than anyone. He caused the deadliest famine in human history. He destroyed China's economy. He persecuted intellectuals, burned books, and unleashed mob violence that tore families apart. He was a disaster, a catastrophe, one of the worst human beings to ever hold power. And yet, if you go to Beijing today, Mao's face is on every piece of currency. His portrait hangs in Tiananmen Square. His body lies in a mausoleum in the center of the capital where millions of Chinese citizens line up to pay their respects. The Communist Party calls him the founding father of modern China, a great revolutionary, a hero. How is this possible? How can a nation honor a man who killed tens of millions of its own people? This is not a small question. This is the central contradiction of modern China. And understanding why China still honors Mao tells you everything you need to know about how the Chinese Communist Party thinks, how it maintains power, and why it will never apologize for its past. Because the party cannot condemn Mao without condemning itself, and it will never do that. So today I am going to explain exactly why China still honors Mao, what the party gains by keeping Mao's legacy alive, why admitting the truth would destroy the party's legitimacy, and what this tells us about China's future, because this is not just about history. This is about power, and power never apologizes. Let me start with the facts. How bad was Mao? Very bad. Mao came to power in 1949 after the Chinese Civil War. The Communist Party defeated the nationalists and took control of mainland China. Mao became chairman, and for the next 27 years, until his death in 1976, Mao ruled China with absolute authority. During those 27 years, Mao launched a series of catastrophic campaigns that killed tens of millions of people. The worst was the Great Leap Forward. From 1958 to 1962, Mao tried to rapidly industrialize China. He forced peasants to abandon farming and melt down tools to make steel and backyard furnaces. The steel was useless, but the farms were abandoned. Grain production collapsed, and China experienced the deadliest famine in human history. Between 1959 and 1961, at least 15 to 45 million people starved to death. Some historians put the number even higher. This was not a natural disaster. This was a man-made famine caused by Mao's policies. Peasants were forced to meet impossible grain quotas. Local officials lied about production to avoid punishment. The government seized grain and exported it while people starved. People ate tree bark. They ate dirt. They ate their own children. This happened in the 20th century because of one man's ideology. And when it was over, Mao did not apologize. He blamed others. He launched another campaign. The second catastrophe was the Cultural Revolution. From 1966 to 1976, Mao unleashed mob violence to purge his political enemies and reassert control. He called on young people, the Red Guards, to attack the four olds: old ideas, old culture, old customs, old habits. Red Guards destroyed temples, burned books, beat teachers, and humiliated intellectuals. Millions were persecuted. Hundreds of thousands were killed. Families were torn apart. Children denounced their parents. Students beat their teachers too. Death. This was not a revolution. This was chaos. And Mao encouraged it, because chaos served his political goals. It destroyed his rivals. It kept the population terrified and loyal. And when it was over, Mao's power was secure. But China was devastated. An entire generation lost education. The economy collapsed. Trust within families and communities was destroyed. The trauma of the Cultural Revolution still affects China today, so let me ask again, how can China honor this man? The answer is simple. The Communist Party cannot condemn Mao without condemning itself, because Mao is not just a historical figure. Mao is the founder of the People's Republic of China. Mao is the source of the party's legitimacy. If Mao is a monster, then the party that he founded is built on monstrosity. If Mao's policies were catastrophic, then the party's entire history is catastrophic. And if the party admits this, it loses the moral right to rule. So the party cannot tell the truth about Mao. Instead, it tells a story. A carefully constructed narrative that acknowledges some of Mao's mistakes while preserving his status as a great leader. The official line is this: Mao was 70% good, 30% bad. His contributions to the revolution outweigh his errors. Yes, the Great Leap Forward was a disaster. Yes, the Cultural Revolution caused suffering. But Mao unified China. Mao ended foreign domination. Mao made China strong. Without Mao, there would be no People's Republic. Without the People's Republic, there would be no modern China. Therefore, Mao must be honored. This is the logic. And the party has spent 50 years reinforcing this narrative. Why does this narrative work? Because it serves the party's interests. 3 reasons. First, it protects the party's legitimacy. If Mao is the founder of the People's Republic, and the People's Republic is legitimate, then Mao must be portrayed as a great leader. If Mao is portrayed as a tyrant and a failure, then the entire system he created, the Communist Party, the government, the ideology, is illegitimate. The party cannot allow this, so it rewrites history. It emphasizes Mao's role in the revolution. It downplays his catastrophic policies. It blames others for the failures while crediting Mao for the successes. This is propaganda, but it works, because most Chinese people never learn the full truth about Mao. The education system teaches the sanitized version. The media never criticizes Mao. Anyone who speaks too openly about Mao's crimes is silenced. So the narrative holds. Second, honoring Mao unifies the party. The Communist Party is not a monolith. It has factions: reformers who want to liberalize the economy, conservatives who want to preserve ideological purity, nationalists who want to restore China's greatness. These factions disagree on many things, but they all agree on one thing: Mao cannot be condemned. Because if the party starts relitigating the past, the factions will turn on each other. Reformers will blame the Mao era for economic backwardness. Conservatives will blame the reform era for moral decay. The party will fracture. So the party maintains a consensus. Mao was great. His mistakes were secondary. And we must move forward without dwelling on the past. This consensus holds the party together. And unity is more important than truth. Third, honoring Mao gives the party nationalist credibility. Mao is not just the founder of the Communist Party, he is the leader who ended the century of humiliation. For 100 years, from the Opium Wars in the 1840s to the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949, China was weak, invaded, and exploited by foreign powers. Britain, Japan, France, Russia, all of them carved up China. All of them humiliated China. And then Mao came to power. And Mao said, "No more. China will never be humiliated again. China will be strong, China will be independent." This resonates with Chinese nationalism. Even people who know about Mao's failures can say, yes, he made mistakes, but he made China strong. He restored China's dignity. And for that, he deserves honor. This is why Mao's face is on the currency. This is why his portrait hangs in Tiananmen. Not because the party believes Mao is perfect, but because Mao represents Chinese strength and independence. And the party wants to claim that legacy. The party can't condemn Mao without condemning itself. So it chooses power over truth. That's not a Chinese thing. That's a power thing. Every government does it. The difference is that in China, there's no one to challenge the lie. But here is the deeper truth. The reason China still honors Mao is not just about protecting the party's legitimacy or maintaining nationalist credibility. It is about power. And specifically, it is about the logic of authoritarian power. Authoritarian regimes cannot afford to admit mistakes, because admitting mistakes opens the door to questions. If the party was wrong about the Great Leap Forward, what else was it wrong about? If Mao is a disaster, why should we trust the party now? If the party lied about the famine, what else is it lying about? These questions are dangerous. They undermine the party's authority. And in an authoritarian system, authority is everything. So the party does not admit mistakes, it rewrites history, it controls the narrative, it ensures that the official story is the only story most people hear, and anyone who challenges the narrative is silenced. This is why there has never been a full reckoning with Mao's crimes in China. After Mao died in 1976, Deng Xiaoping came to power. Deng was a reformer. He opened up China's economy. He allowed private enterprise. He lifted hundreds of millions out of poverty. Deng was pragmatic. He knew Mao's policies had been catastrophic. But Deng also knew that the party could not survive a full accounting of Mao's failures. So Deng made a deal. The party would acknowledge that Mao made mistakes, but the party would insist that Mao's contributions outweighed his errors. The formula was set: 70% good, 30% bad. This allowed Deng to move forward with economic reforms while maintaining the party's legitimacy. It was a political compromise, not a moral reckoning. And it has been the party's position ever since. What does this mean for China today? It means the party is trapped by its own narrative. The party cannot condemn Mao, but it also cannot fully embrace Mao because Mao's policies were disastrous. If the party tried to return to Maoist economics, central